All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. My name is David White, and I'm the Dean of Admissions at Prescott College. We are so glad you've joined us this afternoon for our virtual preview event. I'm sorry we can't share our beautiful campus with you live and in person right now, but we're going to do our best to give you in fantasy what we can't give you in reality. Our preview, when we do it on campus, takes about 4 hours, so get settled. We're going to be here about an hour. But we're hoping to give you the same feeling as if you'd been able to be here on the campus. A couple of notes about the mechanics of the call. I know that Carissa has shared them while we were getting ready here. If you have a question for us, use the Q&A box. You can interact with us through that at any time. If you want to put your Zoom view on speaker view, that way you'll see just who's presenting and not all of our beautiful faces, but if you like them, by all means, keep them all up there. Everybody who participates today will be eligible for a visit grant of $250 that we will add to your financial aid for your first semester tuition. And I just want to briefly summarize what we're about today. In a minute, I'm going to introduce our president and our provost to welcome you to Prescott College. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes giving you kind of my quick introduction to what we're all about at Prescott College. Then we're going to take you on a tour of the campus through the magic of technology. And then you'll have a chance to hear from and ask questions of our academic dean, our financial aid director, our director of residence life, and our orientation director. And then at the very end, any other questions that have come up, we'd be happy to address. I do want to introduce my admissions team that is here to help us tonight. Carissa Butler is the Zoom captain running the show. Casey Miller and Annie McGarry are running the Q&A. So if you have questions, that's who you'll be talking to. Cal Peterson is going to give us our tour in just a little bit, so you'll hear more from him. And then, as Carissa mentioned, we are streaming this event live on Facebook. So Kenneth Welch, our admissions representative down in Tucson, is monitoring the Facebook live stream and answering questions over there. So again, we're thrilled you're here. We hope you get everything you need out of this event to make the best possible decision for you on your next step as far as applying to Prescott College. I want to introduce two important people to welcome you to Prescott College: John Flicker, our president, and Paul Burkhardt, our provost. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Dave, and welcome to Prescott College virtually. I'm John Flicker, and I want to take just a minute to say hello and welcome you and thank you for joining us on this virtual tour. It's a new thing for us. I hope it works well for you. I'm coming to you remotely, as most everybody is, like all colleges. After a spring break, when the COVID crisis hit, we migrated all of our courses to online. We've had a fair amount of experience in online, so it went relatively smoothly, and we're finishing the semester that way, and our summer courses will be online as well. But we are very eager to get back to campus. The campus is the heart of what we're all about. We miss it, and we're planning to be back in fall. Our campus is still partially open. Our essential functions to keep the online programs going, staff are showing up there. We also kept our residence halls open for students who have no other safe place to go. So we have a number of students who are still on campus. So there are still things going on there, and we're eager to get back in the fall. And we're waiting to make sure that it is safe to be back. We're going to be following the best scientific guidelines as to when it is safe, but we think by then we'll be able to do it. We're a small college, which means we can be more nimble and make decisions more later and to adapt. Early in the semester may be different than later in the semester. As a small college, we can be more nimble about that sort of thing. But we're all focused on getting back to our normal courses on campus. As you know, we're highly field-based and community-based, so we're out in the field. A lot of our students are out working in projects in the community or out in the landscape, so that's an important part of our programming as well. We're eager to get back to that, get our vans going again. As you know, we're a small college, so in our campus, you get to know people, you get to know the staff, you get to know your faculty. I'm around, I like getting to know students, and you will spend a lot of time with your colleagues and your students learning from each other. That's the core of what we are all about. And in addition to our, being small and personal and having that kind of interaction, we're very much a college that's based on a core mission and values of environmental sustainability and social justice. That's really the core of what we're all about, and we try and weave that through everything we do. And I can't think of a time when those values aren't more front and center for us in the middle of this crisis. If there's anything, I can't imagine anything more showing how unsustainably we live in so many ways, to see what's happening in our society with this disruption. And I think it's going to make these values even more important. And this crisis is also pointing out the severe social and economic inequalities in our society, so that the people who are being most at risk right now are the people who can least afford to handle it. And I think as we come out on the other side of this crisis, these values are going to be even more and more important. That's what brings our staff and faculty here to this campus, and a lot of our students. It certainly is what brought me here. I come out of the environmental movement. I was president of the National Audubon Society for 15 years in New York City, headquartered in New York before I came here, where I worked a great deal in environmental policy and environmental education. And social justice and environmental sustainability have been the passion of my life. And I came here because I worked with graduates from this college throughout my career who share these values. And I wanted to work with an institution that helped build the next generation of leaders who will carry on in this way. And that's what brought me here. It's been the passion of my life. And I'm so proud to see that so many of our graduates move into this. As Paul Burkhardt frequently says, we've done a survey of our alums, and 80% of them chose their career based on their ability to live those values, to make a living, making a difference. I like to say that any college can give you a degree, but we can give you a purpose. And that's what makes us different and special. That's why I'm here. And that's why I hope to see you here come fall. I'll be around, and I hope I can meet you in person. Paul, you want to follow up?
I'll be very brief because I think you said it very well, John. And I know many others have bits to share. I wanted to say something about risk at Prescott College. You know, we're an experiential outdoor college that has field and community-based experiential learning at our heart. And so we've really become very adept at managing risk in field settings in a way that few other colleges can. And so we're working on risk management protocols to allow us to continue to offer in-person and field-based and community-based experiential learning this fall, and to keep our students, staff, and the communities that we work with safe from COVID-19. And so we really, because of our scale, our small scale, because of our location, we're not in a large urban area. Yavapai County has, I think, 66 cases of COVID-19 right now in the entire county, which is very low relative to many other areas that are much harder hit. But really, because of the way that we can structure our calendar, we can structure our course schedule, we can structure our activities, we can structure our housing, we're going to put together a plan that really allows us to operate safely in person, even if COVID-19 is continuing to circulate, and it likely will be in the fall. Our online courses too are very experiential, but our plan is to be in person and out in the field, outdoors and in communities in the fall, and we look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to cover for Christina Fabry and be happy to answer any questions about student services and that sort of thing via Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. I'm going to take 5 minutes now to do something I usually spend 20 minutes on, so forgive me if I speak rapidly, to talk about how we do things at Prescott College. And really, when I thought about kind of what the key elements are at Prescott College, every key element I thought of happen to start with a vowel. So I want to share with you what I think of as the A, E, I, O, and U of Prescott College. And because I'm a rebel, I'm going to start with O and tell you the Prescott College origin story. Prescott College was begun in the 1960s by a congregational minister who wanted to have a small liberal arts college here in Prescott, Arizona. And I don't know if you know about the history of the Congregational Church and education, but they've started a few small schools you may have heard of, like Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth. And in fact, when the minister brought people together, it was his vision to create what he called the Harvard of the West, which I guess makes Prescott College Harvard, the Prescott College of the East, although I don't think they put that on their stationery at this point. But they wanted to create a college that could really deal with and address the critical issues of the 20th century. And because they wanted to do that, they decided to look at, well, what kind of college would we create to do that, irrespective of what every other college does? What would our college be like? So the work they did in the 60s and the things they laid down at that time have continued to inform everything we do at Prescott College today. And the first thing they talked about is that a Prescott College education would be interdisciplinary. That no matter what you study at Prescott College, you're going to study it from a variety of different directions. If your focus is in environmental science, you're still going to take coursework in the social sciences, in arts and literature. If you're in psychology, you're still going to take courses in cultural and regional studies and education. And through that kind of broad liberal arts education, every student at Prescott College, no matter what they choose to focus on, leaves with 3 critical skills. And I think those are the ability to reason effectively and to think critically and to work collaboratively in teams. It just so happens when you go to major hirers and business leaders, say, what do you need in your employees? The 3 things they always say they need are people who can think critically, reason effectively, work collaboratively in teams. They can teach you their industry specific stuff. The Prescott College students leave with those skills because of that broad-based education. The second thing that they thought would be important is that a Prescott College education would be experiential. And you already heard John and Paul refer to this. Our students are in the field all the time, getting hands-on experience. And it's easy to understand why an adventure educator would need to be in the field. You can't learn to be a rock climbing guide or river rafting guide only in a classroom. It's easy to understand how an environmental studies major would need to be in the field, maybe down at our Keno Base Center. There we go, that was good timing. But all of our students spend time in the field, applying the theory they learn in the classroom to the real world. And through that, a couple things happen. One is that they build a network of professional connections that are going to support them as they go forward. And they leave Prescott College not only with a transcript of the classes they've taken, but with a resume of experience as well, which is going to make them more desirable and more easily hired when they leave Prescott College. That experiential component starts with our orientation. It's a 4-week class. For most students, it's a 4-week backpacking trip. I'm going to let our orientation director, Cecil Goodman, tell you about that in a little bit. The third thing they thought that a Prescott College education should be is unique. No 2 Prescott College educations are the same. No 2 Prescott College students are the same. Why would their degrees be? So whenever you study at Prescott College, you come in and you're going to be a partner with your advisor and your faculty to co-create your degree. So if you arrive at Prescott College and say, I want to major in human development psychology, we don't say, great, take these 10 classes and you're done. We say, well, where do you want to go with that degree? What kind of a career do you want to pursue? What kind of a graduate degree do you want to go after? What kind of an impact do you want to have on the world? And then we help you identify the courses, the internships, field experiences to get you to that very place that you identified. So no 2 Prescott College students leave with the same degree. And in fact, your degree, your diploma will have 2 lines on it. One with your major area of study, that's for us, and the second for your specific emphasis, and that's for you. And it could be one of our existing emphases, or it could be one you co-create yourself. And finally, I think a Prescott College degree is aspirational. I think John alluded to this too. Our students come to Prescott College and more importantly, leave Prescott College with a desire to make a difference. They come with a passion or they develop a passion while they're here, and they go off to make the world, their community, their school, their family a better, more just place. I had an opportunity recently to look at a survey results of about 1,200 Prescott College graduates and what they're doing now. And they range everywhere from US Senator Tom Udall from New Mexico to somebody who described his career as ne'er-do-well. But what struck me about what people identified is that how many Prescott College graduates are presidents, founders, executive directors. They either went off and started or came to lead organizations making a difference in the world, whether that's a private company, a nonprofit, a school, they're out there making a difference. As John said, we train people to make a living while they make a difference. So that's the AEIO and U of Prescott College. For me, that's a handy way to hang on to the important parts. I hope that helps you too, and that as we go through the day, you see those concepts fleshed out by the presentations that you see and hear as we go along. So with that, time to put this, take this out of the abstract and put it in the concrete by asking Cal Peterson to lead us on a campus tour. Cal?
Hi, I'm Cal Peterson. I'm so glad you could all join us today. I am one of the undergraduate admissions counselors here at Prescott College, and I'm going to take you on a quick tour of the campus. I just want to get a quick thumbs up if I can from somebody. Can everyone see the Crossroads Center screen share here?
We can.
Awesome. So as I go ahead and get started on the tour, I do not have a lot of time. So if you do have any questions, please type them into the chat box where some of my colleagues are waiting to answer those. So the first place I always like to start on our tour is just kind of in the heart of the campus, which is the Crossroads Center. The Crossroads Center is very much the commons of Prescott College. It's where we host a lot of our events, whether it be our Wednesday community lunch, student gatherings. And because Prescott is such a wonderful, beautiful place pretty much year round, a lot of things can just happen out here. As we take a step up onto the top of the bridge over here to be able to look down at the kind of center of the Crossroads, one thing you may notice is that not all of our buildings on campus match. That is actually very intentional as a sustainability focused school. When we acquire new buildings, we don't like to tear them down. Instead, we like to repurpose them to better fit our needs. So as we go around campus, you'll see this a lot, whether it be our admissions building, one of our outdoor classrooms, our Manzanita building, the One Stop, which houses financial aid, registrar, and those sorts of things, IT building. And really, as campus extends down for a couple of blocks, you'll see that a lot. Kind of some of the exceptions to that rule are our Crossroads buildings here as we take a step into the center of the courtyard. This building over on this side houses a lot of our more traditional classrooms up in the top. And of course, I say traditional, that's always a little different here at Prescott College, as most of our classes cap at just 14 students, and students are typically splitting their class time between hands-on based fieldwork and discussion-based seminar classes. Many of the departments do have their own classrooms as well, but that's where many of them are. Because so many of our classrooms themselves are very small, we also have to have a large space, which is the bottom of that building, which we'll take a step inside now. And this is just where a lot of our events happen that require you to fit more than 15, 20 people in a room. So graduation, colloquium, typical campus visits, stuff like that. From there, we're going to take a step over to the building on the other side of that. And this is our library over here on the right. The Prescott College Library has everything you'd expect out of a library, stacks and all the books and everything up on top, with students having access to all the digital and physical resources you would expect. But the bottom floor is also where we host a lot of our student services. These stacks actually aren't here anymore, and it's much more open. But the library on the bottom floor especially is where we host, where we have our library services, student advising, our writing center. Because we don't do the traditional lecture hall testing model of college, the writing center is very much our version of a tutoring center. and really does help students as a second set of eyes on a paper or presentation. And also in the library, we have our Career and Internship Services Office. While Prescott College doesn't require students to do internships or independent studies in their time here, we do strongly encourage it. And so it's really awesome for our students to have access to both of those, and of course to job placement assistance after school. As we take a step back out of the library, we are going to head over into the Prescott College Cafe. So as you probably know, having found your way here to us already, and from the little bit of discussion before, Prescott College is very small. We are happy to be little. We like it that way. It makes us very much a family and able to do things the way we do. But as a result, it means that our cafe is small as well. It is a full-blown restaurant and has all the dietary options that you would hope for, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, etc. But it's really just a great restaurant hangout for students, faculty, staff. A lot of faculty will frequently host their office hours here, but it's always a very popular place, both indoors and out. From here, I'm actually going to take a step back out to sort of the other side of campus so we can see some more of our just academic buildings. Prescott College, as several people have talked about before already, really does have an emphasis on experiential, hands-on student learning. And so while students do have a lot of time where they are out in the field, it is important for our students, oops, not quite the way I wanted to go. It is important for our students to have access to whatever it is that they need, even when they are in the more traditional classroom setting. For a lot of our students, especially doing environmental studies, it may mean the specimen lab, or it may mean, as we hop over here, the biology and chemistry labs, where of course if a student's doing marine studies, they're not going to be out on the water or in Keno Bay all the time. So it is important to be able to have access to all the different things you would expect. I'm not a sciencey person, so a lot of these things don't really make sense to me, but hey, there they are. As I kind of mentioned before, as campus just, extends down the way, you'll just see a lot more of the academic buildings. Now I am going to hop back over to where we left off at the cafe so that we can head down to the creek. One of the really cool things about Prescott College is, of course, our dedication to the environment, nature, sustainability, and it's really fun to be at a place that practices what it preaches. Here we have another one of our outdoor classrooms. But right here, sort of in the center of campus, we have Butte Creek, which is maintained by Butte Creek Restoration Council, restored by Prescott College students and alumni. And the creek itself very much divides academic campus, which stretches from all the way over there to all the way over there, from sort of the student side of campus. And pretty much every building that you'll see over here is primarily a student services related building, whether it be this gray building, which is the Student Activity Center, and these two pinky buildings, which are part of student housing and where laundry facilities are and where housing has their offices. And over here, we have the Village. The Village is very much our version of sort of underclassmen style dorms. They were built back in 2012 and are LEED Platinum certified for sustainability, which is the highest level of sustainability that a building can be, fully solar powered, much like the rest of our campus. And while we only have a short time to kind of take a step inside and look around a little bit, yet again, you can see sort of the dedication to nature. This picture is a couple of years old because now these grapevines completely envelop this canopy. It's really beautiful, and all these fruit trees are very large and produce quite a lot of fruits. But taking a step sort of into the center of the courtyard here, here we go. This is where a lot of the events for student housing are hosted, and just very much a heart to the Village. When I was in college, nobody went to the resident assistant events because they were super lame, but here at Prescott College, because all of the events are put on by the students, they're very popular and there's always things going on. Each of the village townhomes is a 3-story vertical place. As we take a step into the bottom floor, we can kind of see what that looks like. On the bottom floor, you have the big kitchen, double oven, double stove, double fridge, double freezer, living room and dining room area on the other side of that. And the first floor also has a single bedroom with its own bathroom back behind this wall. The second and third floor both have 2 bedrooms sharing a bathroom suite style. This is a double on the second floor. As you can see, each student in a double has their own bed, dressers, desk, and then over here, if it'll drag for me, their own closet, sink, vanity mirror, all that sort of stuff. And then the bathroom that is shared suite style with the room across the hall. The second floor does also have a quiet study room. And then the third floor is 2 double rooms sharing a bathroom suite style. From here, we are going to step out of the village. If you do want to see more of the village, there's some really great video tours on our YouTube channel. But we are going to real quick hop up to the San Juan Gear Warehouse. So one of the things that, yet again, you've probably heard us talk a lot about is our dedication to being outdoors and that hands-on learning. And part of that is having the gear to accommodate that. Well, not every student is going to be going out into the wilderness all the time. We love that Prescott is a big area for people to be able to take advantage of the outdoors. So we want to have the gear for students to be able to do that, both as part of their classes and outside of that. That's why we have enough camping, backpacking, canoeing, kayaking, ski and snowboard, rock climbing gear, all that kind of stuff to equip all of our students and to go along with all of the classes that we have. Even here in the water room where you've got all the whitewater rafts and everything. And it's really great for students to not only have access to this gear, as I said, part of their classes, but frequently to be able to go just check gear out, just kind of like a library, to have that at your fingertips. One of the other things I love to show off, even though a lot of people think I'm crazy, is the vans. One of the common jokes at Prescott College is that we have more vans than classrooms. It is true, I counted once. And the key mentality behind that is, yet again, getting students out, learning in the field hands-on. It's also one of the main reasons classes cap at 14 students for the most part. It's because a van fits 15 people, so a professor plus a full class fills a van. The last thing I want to touch on sort of with campus is we do also have several other buildings that are not on the traditional campus. Our psychology building, or psychology and human development building, Summit, as well as our arts and ECOSA, which is our ecological systems and design program, all have their buildings in various gallery spaces around downtown Prescott. Speaking of Prescott itself, if you don't know anything about the city, Prescott is a very wonderful place. It was the original territorial capital of the state and is a popular tourist destination. And one of the real nice things about it is it's just very nice year round. We're about 1.25 miles elevation up in the mountains of Arizona. So while Phoenix may be 110 degrees, Prescott is it's nice and in the 80s. And so people flock to Prescott in the spring, summer, and fall for festivals and the outdoors. And the beautiful, wonderful downtown, historic Whiskey Row, all the restaurants and shopping. When I first moved out here, I thought I was moving to the desert, and I was very wrong. Prescott's actually up in the mountains, surrounded on 3 sides by the Prescott National Forest, which is a very kind of standard traditional pine forest. We, of course, as I said earlier, are a big area for the outdoors. These are the Dells. We have 4 lakes in Prescott. This is Watson Lake in the Dells, where we, Prescott College, also actually have a lot of land where we do adventure education and environmental studies programming. And it's just really nice, yet again, to have access to that. And this is only, 3 miles away from campus. So still everything's really quite close, which is really awesome. We also at Prescott College have access to, our students have all sorts of different study abroad opportunities, both the field stations that we have in places like Quino Bay, Mexico, which is our Marine Studies Institute, or our Dopai Center in Masailand, Kenya, and of course, programs that go all over the place. Well, I am out of time, but thank you all for sticking with me, and I will go ahead and hand it back over. And as I said before, please feel free to ask us in the Q&A if you have any questions.
All right, Cal, thanks so much. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our Dean of On-Campus Programs, Aaron Lotz, to give you some idea of the academic journey at Prescott College.
Hello there. Welcome to Prescott College. I'm Erin, and as the Dean of On-Campus Programs, I get this great role of looking at the curriculum and kind of managing the curriculum across all of the programs that happen on campus. It's a great job. I have spent most of my time at Prescott College as faculty member in our adventure education department, but have really loved kind of stepping back and seeing the whole college from a bird's eye view and how the curriculum from each of the different departments really feeds each other, and our interdisciplinary nature is really borne out in the interactions between the different degrees and areas of study. So I wanted to start by kind of reiterating something that's been said before, in that, a unique aspect about Prescott College is our way of immersing students in the learning. And so we capitalize on different sessions that people can learn within, unique to us, not happening at other universities, not all other universities, is the block system. And we really enjoy choosing certain classes to take place during 4-week blocks, where students can spend all day, every day on one particular class and really focus on it before moving to their next class or set of classes. The students really get a lot of opportunity to build their program to fit their needs in a particular term. So we don't give students a list of classes when they arrive and say, okay, you're going to take this on Monday and Wednesday, and you're going to take this on Tuesday and Thursday, and next term you're going to take this. We don't tell our students exactly what they're going to take, but rather give them a lot of choice in building an academic program that is going to be interesting and motivating and keep them engaged. Learning happens best when somebody wants to learn, right? So we want to offer a curriculum that the students really feel like every class is worth taking, and they feel engaged. So students will sometimes choose to take very field-based classes in one term, maybe even going to Kenya or Quino, like Cal had showed us. Or they may choose to take a more academic semester staying on campus and doing their writing requirements, or taking writing intensive classes where they want to have access to the library. So there are many choices out there on how to do this immersive learning while also having balance in one's life. Our students also do not take 2 years of general ed. So when students arrive as first-year students or transfer students come as sophomores, they're not going to be put into general education classes. They're going to be able to choose classes in their area of study right off the bat. So with a careful sequencing of foundational courses, moving into more advanced courses, and ultimately potentially moving into master's level courses in our accelerated master's program, students get to be studying what they want to study the whole time. We're not forcing them into a couple of years of general ed. So let's see, I wanted to say one more thing before moving on. in terms of what we offer, we have about a dozen different undergraduate degrees: adventure education, environmental studies, psychology and human development, arts and letters, arts and humanities, sustainable community development, and so on. But like I had said before, it's really the intersections between those degrees where the really exciting work happens. And so our students are choosing classes within a particular degree, but also looking around the college at what classes are going to be of the most interest. We cannot provide everything at a small college like Prescott College, yet we do have the ability for students to expand on what our offerings are by going to our partner colleges. Prescott College is part of two different small college consortium, the Eco League, which is 6 colleges across the country that have sustainability values, and CL, or the Consortium for Innovative Environments and Learning, which is about a dozen colleges that really capitalize on progressive education. So amongst those colleges, Bennington, Northland College, Alaska Pacific, New College of Florida, Evergreen, our students have the ability to work into their plan to attend any one of these colleges for a particular term. So if you, let's say, wanted to study adventure education and then have a minor in business, you could take some of those business classes at Prescott College, but also go to another school and enhance that with additional offerings. So if you can choose to be in the field, or choose to be on campus, or choose to be in one degree or another, or the places in between, or choose to be at one of our partner schools, how does a student keep track of all of that? We pride ourselves in giving the students choice, but not without support. So there's several key elements of that support. And first is that every student has a faculty advisor. So even before arriving on campus, the students can connect with their faculty advisor, get to know them, let them know what their goals are, and the faculty advisor will help choose classes. Early on, the students will begin a degree plan, which is basically a roadmap towards graduation. And on that degree plan, the students and the advisors will work together to choose classes that make sense and create a rigorous set of classes that lead to the career outcomes that the student is interested in. So that's a living document that follows them from their first year to graduation, that plots out the classes that they want to take, the classes that they need to take, the classes that they've already taken, and the ones that they will take in the future. Building that degree plan is informed by two things. One is a set of core curriculum classes. So each year that the student is at Prescott College, they will take one class, 4 credits of core curriculum. And so there's a first year of core curriculum class, a sophomore year, a junior year, and a senior year core curriculum class. And those classes, while they have content that will be engaging and pertain to current events that are happening around the world, they also support the students in planning their degree, achieving their graduation requirements, hitting all of the graduation learning outcomes so that they can make it to graduation having completed their writing requirement, their math requirement, and other learning outcomes that we've set to become what it is to be a Prescott College grad. The other piece that helps in that planning are advising documents. And so students can work with their faculty advisors and their core curriculum instructors with the help of advising documents that basically spell out kind of a menu for a particular degree. So for instance, an adventure education student gets to choose their classes, but they can't say, I want to take intro to rock climbing, intermediate rock climbing, rock and geo, rock and yoga, and alpine mountaineering. They can do some of those courses, but we're also going to say, well, if you're going to be an adventure educator, you need to take a couple education courses. And if you're going to lead people through challenging, remote, possibly wild environments, you're going to need to know something about those environments. And if you're going to change the lives of your clients in the future, you need to know how humans operate. And so you need to take some human development and psychology classes. So these advising documents give them a roadmap for the skills that we want them to learn and ideas for classes that they can choose from to make it to that end goal. So faculty advisors, core curriculum, degree planning, and advising documents are the ways that we support students so that they are able to make choice in their education and stay invested and engaged and and keep on learning. I think I'll stop there and wait for questions during the question answer period in terms of what to elaborate on.
Great, Erin, thank you so much. Another important person on our campus is our Director of Financial Aid, B. Senna. So I'm going to hand it over to B.
Hi all, I'm B. Senna. Some folks have asked for pronouns, so she and hers, and they and theirs. I'll respond to any of the above, so just so you know. And welcome, and I'm so excited that you're here. I wanted to show you today a little bit around our website because I get a lot of questions along these lines, and while we're doing that, we'll be answering a lot of your frequently asked questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and hopefully you can see this. And there we go. So on our main website, if you go to the menu, you're going to find financial aid right there in the middle under admissions and aid. And when you get to the financial aid page, anytime you need help, this is something that I love about Prescott College, that we're a small college. Here's our names are right here. You can always call us at our 350-1111. It's the easiest number to remember. And any of us, it rings at all our desks. We're going to get a live human answering the phone. We're going to answer your questions. So if you have a specific question that I don't get to address today, certainly hope you'll pick up the phone, give us a call. Also, our financial aid email, we are on that all day. If you'd like to set up a time with us via Zoom so we can talk to you via chat during these times, that is something you can just send us a quick email and we'll set up a time with you. We'd love to do that. So one of the questions folks often ask is, how much does it cost to come to school here? So tuition fees and cost of attendance right here on our sidebar. You can also get to it from our main menu here, tuition and fees. I'm going to hop over to that page really quick. And here, all the different programs are listed as well as the tuition costs. But as everybody mostly should know, that's just half the picture. That's the initial cost up front. And then financial aid is going to reduce that for you into something what we call the net cost. So the net cost is how much you would actually pay towards your cost after everything. Sorry, I'm navigating here. Here we go. I already have this up. So I wanted to point this out. So when you're comparing colleges, that you want to look at the net price, and you want to think, what does it cost after financial aid? So we do have a net price calculator available, especially for our on-campus undergraduates, and we'll also send you with your financial aid award letter the cost of attendance, which includes not just tuition and fees, but also the indirect costs like a budget for housing and living expenses and things like that. And you'll be able to see that mapped out compared to your financial aid. So we'll certainly be happy to walk through your individual situation with you so you can look at that. Make sure you understand it once you receive your financial aid award, and make sure that you're really comfortable. And if you have additional questions or you want additional ideas for aid, we'll walk through that with you too. my computer's being just a bit slow here, so hopefully it will. Here we go. So speaking of additional aid, folks are always asking how, what else is out there besides federal government financial aid is the FAFSA. You want to put your name in the hat for that by filing your FAFSA as soon as you can. You want to put your name in the hat for all the school scholarships that we have, either merit-based scholarships or need-based scholarships. All you need to do is apply to the school. And we will take a look at your application, and we'll also combine that with the information from your FAFSA to figure out all the school scholarships that we can get for you and school grants. And then that'll be on your financial aid award letter. But of course, there's lots of other avenues for finding financial aid for schools. So we do have a page that we maintain, a lot of different options on this page. We're updating this all the time. I do encourage folks to come back here frequently, like on a monthly basis or so. Check out and see if there's anything new. For each one, we'll post a little description. We'll post the webpage where you can find out more information. We post when the deadlines are, et cetera, et cetera. Towards the bottom of the page, you'll see a whole list of scholarship search engines that are available as well. So I like to point that out because as we're all stuck at home, this is a great thing you can be doing. And scholarships are out there, and folks are still giving money away. So we'd like to help you find that. So if folks have questions for me, I would love to speak with you individually or during the question and answer session at the end. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bea. Megan Letchworth is the director of our Residence Life department. Megan?
Hi, everyone. Again, I use she, her pronouns. So you got to see a little bit of the residence halls today with Cal's tour. But yeah, we do have some pretty unique residence halls on campus. They're relatively new, especially when we compare them to other residence halls on other campuses. And so they're a really unique opportunity because they are townhomes. So you get to live with 8 to 10 other people depending on the year and how we're doing things. And like Cal said, it's a mix of singles and doubles and sometimes triples. So they're really interesting spaces that really give people an opportunity to learn how to live in community with each other. And a couple other things about our residence halls and kind of housing in general that you may have questions about is that all incoming students do have required meal plans for $400 that work at our cafes every year. And it's like Cal showed you right there up at the top of the bridge, basically. So really quick and easy. But because we have these nice, big, luscious kitchens for everyone, most of our students do take advantage of that and end up making a lot of their meals in the residence halls. Our students tend to be vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, dairy-free, lots of dietary needs. And so because of that, they like to have a lot of control over their food spaces. And that's something that we've definitely provided for in the residence halls. And a lot of community comes around in that cooking, as you can imagine. So yeah, so there is a meal plan that is required. Two other really cool things that we may have talked about a little bit or you may have seen is that we do have free parking on campus. You just sign up for a parking permit and we'll issue that when you show up. And then we also have a lot of students who have bikes. And so we also have bike permits, and just in case something ever happens, we have that on record for you. But otherwise, yeah, pretty typical in terms of everyone has a resident assistant that's going to help check in on you and make sure that transition is really smooth throughout the semester as you're getting used to things, and is going to be there as your support system. And then, of course, all of our resident assistants do programs throughout the semester, so there's always something for you to be doing. So if you have any questions, throw them in the chat box and we can talk about it.
Thank you, Megan. Cecil Goodman is our director of the orientation program, and I just went over it very quickly in my presentation. So Cecil, I'm hoping you'll fill us in.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dave. My name is Cecil. I'm the program director for orientation, and that includes wilderness and community-based orientation. And I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Cool. I just want to make sure everyone can see that. Great. So let's see, to begin with orientation. So we have a really unique orientation. It can be hard to explain to new students and to families, but I'm going to try to do that. And so orientation, the whole premise is that we're building community and connection via this really unique orientation program. And so our program is over 50 years old. It's not like an orientation that you just go on for a couple days. It's your first block class, so it's 4-credit class, and this is regardless of area of study or regardless of the amount of credits you've completed. So you could be transferring in as a sophomore from another college, and you would go on orientation, or you could be a brand new college student and you would be on orientation. And that's the point, right? So that Aaron talked a lot about the interdisciplinary nature of Prescott College, and that starts right away with orientation, and that we're trying to build connection and community across disciplines and interests. So orientation, what actually is it? So there's 2 different orientation courses. One, our first choice is a wilderness orientation, and it's a 3-week backpacking expedition. I know Dave talked about orientation being a 4-week course, and that's because the first week of orientation is spent organizing gear, prepping for your class, regardless of wilderness or community-based, and being oriented just to like the academic journey at Prescott College. One of the things I wanted to talk about with wilderness orientation is that it's not for experts. You don't have to be an experienced backpacker or an extrovert to have a successful orientation experience. You just need a sense of adventure and a readiness to build an inclusive learning community. So we have people from all different backgrounds, all different skill levels, and the point isn't so much learning the backpacking skills, although that is an important part, but it's about that foundational community that you're building. So students on wilderness orientation, they develop a sense of place, and they make connections to the south, to the southwest, and to the areas they're traveling through. And that's via backcountry travel, map and wilderness navigation, the natural and cultural history of your route. There's this focus, as I keep talking about, on foundational community building. And so you're learning interpersonal and communication skills, compassion and respect for communities and landscapes. And then you're also doing individual research projects, teaching. There could be a solo experience, leadership training. I can talk about all of that more in depth. And then it also is the foundational field prerequisite for other field-based courses. Then we also have community-based orientation. And for community-based orientation, you're based in Prescott. It's non-expeditionary, so it's an in-town format. It's still a 4-credit course. Again, there's this focus on building foundational community, but you're doing this in different ways. So it's a thematic curriculum, and depending on the expertise and interest of the faculty instructor, you're going to explore community via different interdisciplinary lenses. The theme for this fall is food justice, for example. And so there's this same idea that students are walking away with a sense of place, cultural awareness, critical thinking, and a foundational community that can help sustain their academic journey at Prescott College. And the last thing I'll just point to is that on our website, there's a resident undergraduate orientation link. You go just right here. And there's a ton of resources on here. There's videos about gear. They're sort of embarrassing, I'm in them. But there's gear lists, the application, and there's lots of information about all of this. And I'm gonna hand it back over.
Thank you, Cecil. Well, now, folks, it's your turn. If you have questions, again, the Q&A box is still open, but I'm going to ask Carissa to talk about how you go about asking a question through the webinar.
Hi, you guys. So thanks for keeping your questions coming in the Q&A. You're welcome to continue to do that. Our staff are still here to answer those. In your participants panel, you also have the option to raise your hand. There's a little raise hand button. And if you'd like to do that, I can unmute you if you'd like to participate verbally, or you can keep asking your questions in the Q&A. So however you feel most comfortable engaging with us is how we want to engage with you. So we're still here to answer as much as possible throughout the session. If we're seeing themes in the Q&A, Casey may also ask them to Dave aloud, just to make sure that everyone can hear the answers to those to the whole group. So thanks again so much for being here, and I'll hand it back to you, Dave.
So what have we either not covered, confused you about, or do you need more information about? Okay, we did it all.
Dave, we have a question about whether there will be a separate Q&A for grad programs, or should people just go ahead and submit their questions for those now?
I think you can submit those now. We envision this as mostly an on-campus undergraduate presentation. We're thrilled you're here and interested in the grad program. And if we're not able to answer your questions on this webinar, we'll connect you with the admissions counselor and faculty who can.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this. I'm also interested in the graduate program, but I was wondering that unique orientation is really unique. It's pretty cool. Is that something that the graduate students have to do as well?
I can answer that. I see that, I think your name is Hetty, is that correct?
Yes,
Hi.
it is.
Okay, cool. Hi. So orientation programs are different for the limited residency grad programs. Depending on what grad program you're in, they're tailored to the graduate program. So whatever you're interested in, there are on-campus orientations, but they're not going to be like your first class out either backpacking or in the community.
We have had interested grad students join the undergraduate wilderness orientation experience and tailor it to their own learning, like create a class out of the orientation experience. So if someone really wanted that experience of being in the most beautiful places in the state of Arizona, we're not going to get in your way. We'll just make it into something that is academically rich and tailored to you.
We had a question that I thought we would just answer live. They're curious about how like our general education requirements work in terms of college algebra and the writing workshops. They want to know if they instantly just start working on their fields that they wish to pursue.
Great question. So we do have a math and a writing requirement, and so the math requirement is simply that you have a college level math class for most degrees. If you are an environmental studies Bachelor of Science major, for instance, then that does require calculus. So you'd want to check with the particular degree that you're seeking, but most of those degrees, it's one college level math class. Our writing requirement comes in 3 parts. Writing Cert 1, 2, and 3. So Writing Cert 1 is that you have taken a college composition course. And so that might be transferred in. It might be an AP class that you got a 4.0 on, or I guess you can't get better, a 4 on, or it's taking our writing workshop. When we encourage folks that aren't transferring it in a college composition class to take our writing workshop class, either their first or their second semester here, because that sets them up well for having an easier time with writing in the future years. So that leads me to Writing Cert 2. Writing Cert 2 means that you have taken 3 classes in your time at Prescott College that are writing emphasis. Now, these classes are not writing classes per se, they're classes in your areas of study, but we have chosen certain classes across the curriculum that will just have a little more writing and a little more emphasis on supporting you in the writing process. And we call those writing emphasis classes. Really, when you're making your degree plan and you're choosing the classes that you want and need for your degree, it's hard to do that without landing in the requisite 3 writing emphasis classes. And then Writing Cert 3 is actually a project. It's a paper, a thesis-driven research paper, about 2,500 words, plenty of resources, and it has been revised and peer-reviewed. And we have many upper division classes that require research papers in them. And so students usually start their Writing Cert 3 paper in an upper division class within their competence or their major. And they might finish that paper by the end of the class. They might need a little bit extra time to meet the requirements of the Writing Cert 3 paper itself. And the faculty continues to work with them on that paper until it's up to snuff. We do have a writing center on campus in the Learning Commons and online, as well as math tutors. So we have the ability to support folks in their writing and math requirements.
Thanks, Erin. I want to mention something I failed to mention at the beginning of our webinar. We have 3 current Prescott College students on the call with us. Kaylee Plummer, Angie Marino, and Elise Maynard are all here. So if you have a question from the student perspective, want to know more what it's like to be a student here, feel free to throw those at us as well.
We got another question about if we're going to be able to post these questions and answers in a way that people are going to be able to look at afterwards. And one was specifically if there was a way to post it on Facebook. And Chris, I wasn't sure if there's a way to do that afterwards with the questions and the answers.
Yeah, so this is a good question. We will take a look at how the Q&A saves after this webinar. If it keeps all of the attendees' information anonymous, then we'll post it with the recording when we post it. If it doesn't, we'll have to do some editing, and then we can likely post it to our Facebook page to make sure that we keep all of the attendees' information anonymous when we post it. So that may not happen immediately, but maybe by the end of the week.
We had a question come in from the Facebook side of things asking if non-traditional older students stay in the dorms. They can, or they can be exempted from the requirement to live in the residence halls and live off campus. Megan, if you're still on, do you want to talk about cottages and potentially housing for older students?
Yeah. Just to be super honest, I can tell you that most older students do not enjoy living in the residence halls, only because most of them have had that experience at some point in their lives already. It's not to say that they can't live in the residence halls, like Dave said, but that's just kind of been our experience. We do have a handful, about 8 cottages on campus that this upcoming year will be for upperclassmen students. And so they are not like our townhomes. They were the original housing on campus. So they are a little bit older, but they are also smaller, so less roommates per individual unit. And they really vary from holding anywhere from like 8 people to all the way down to 2. So it really just kind of depends. But yeah, so for the most part, our older students tend to find that they want to live off campus, and that exemption process is pretty easy. So if age is a factor, you can start being exempt at age 21 to not live on campus, because we do have a dry campus. And then from there, there are other extenuating circumstances. So if you're married, if you have children, if you live within 40 miles, things like that. But your admissions counselor can walk you through that process.
Great.
There was another question that asked if first-year students are required to live on campus. I don't know if Megan, you want to answer that one, but we can also answer that in admissions, so whichever. Okay, well, so yeah, so first year students are required to live on campus for their first year. Megan kind of just went over the exemptions. So if you're a first year student, but maybe you're like a hiatus student, so you took a little bit of time off before starting school, you may qualify for one of those exemptions. And then another student also asked about application requirements. And so I figured that we could probably just like answer that live as well for at least the on-campus undergraduate application. So you can submit your application through our website. It's free. We are still accepting applications through like we have rolling admissions, so you can still put your application through anytime. And then we just need a 2 to 4 page autobiographical essay and then your transcripts. We will accept official, unofficial, or a self-reported GPA. If you have more questions, you can always contact your admissions counselor.
Dave, one question I would like to get to before we wrap up. We had a student that has a question for the current students, which is, what do you wish that you had known going into your freshman year? I see the wheels are turning.
I'll let Elise go ahead and answer that first, just because I transferred into Prescott College, so I feel like I pretty much had all my questions answered. Annie was actually my admissions counselor, so she'll know that I was constantly emailing and visiting, and so I think I came in kind of with everything I expected, but maybe Elise had a different experience.
Annie was also my admissions counselor, which is funny. I don't know. I think I really needed to prepare myself because I just came from like high school going into college. And I think that the hardest thing for me was moving away from home and like trying to prepare myself for that. Everything else was pretty easy and seamless. But yeah, that separation from family was hard.
I think that for me, the biggest thing that I wish that I would have known before going into college was to not be such a like stickler about the fact that I wanted a BS so bad, because I came in like full-fledged, like I'm gonna get a BS, I'm gonna study this, and I like really didn't like look to the sides and like kind of accept like the beauty of Prescott College, which is like interdisciplinary studies. And so I think that like once my like at the end of my second year, I was finally like, okay, I'll take an art class. And then now that's like my emphasis basically. So I think, yeah, the biggest thing is to not get too caught up in like what you really want and to like allow the like Prescott College like model to really kind of like, I guess like steer you into directions that you would have never expected to steer yourself into. So yeah.
Angie, I'm so glad you said that, because I oftentimes when all the new class of students arrive, I say something to the effect of, we really want you as a first year student to take classes across all the departments. And if something sounds interesting, take it. Don't worry about, is this going to fit along a particular path? Because just like Angie said, we find that if students have a particular goal before they arrive or as they arrive, it's going to get shattered anyway. You're going to get exposed to so many cool faculty and experiences that they've had and the contacts that they have, as well as the experiences that they provide you with by, you know, jump in the van and head off to wherever you're going with those amazing people. It's going to blow your mind. And so make room for that. Make room in your mind for that, and allow yourself to experiment. And then, like I said, with your advisor and the core curriculum and the degree plan, it will get narrowed down and it will be an amazing, rigorous, worthy degree by the time you get to be a senior. But that experimentation at the beginning, I think, is really an important part of the process.
Casey or Annie, I think we had another question from a student perspective.
Yeah, so from a student perspective, how is life at Prescott and how is life on campus? Is it more active? Is it quiet? And how about the passion in the academic atmosphere as well?
Kat, you wanna go
I
first?
don't live in the dorm.
Or
So
Angie?
do I answer this? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I lived in the dorms for like a year and a half and I was an RA. If Megan, you're still on here, I love you. But yeah, I feel like for me, like I was a very shy person like my freshman year and all this stuff. So I'm not the best person to ask about this because I was like too shy to attend anything and like was just a very awkward individual, which I'm no longer, thankfully. But yeah, so I don't think I'm the best for that question, but like as for passion with like what people enjoy at the college, like I think there's so much passion, like specifically in like the art and the environmental studies realms of things, which is like more or less like what I've done, as well as like as a lot of sprinkles of like adventure education. I think that there's so much passion and like people come here for a reason, and I feel like this isn't a school that people just like go like they just come to. Like I think people like come here with like a clear intention of like what they want to do. And the other thing is like not even just with students, but like with professors, like they have a lot of passion as well. Like I've been Zooming with my like GIS professor for the past like month about like my project that he's like, I'm your cheerleader about this and all this. Like, and so it's like, even if like the passion that like you have isn't specific to like what the students are like interested in. So like for me, it was always like art and science together. And so I've like found a lot of like support and passion through like my professors and mentors, if that makes any sense. But yeah.
I kind of want to touch on the passion part of things. So I think we've mentioned a couple times now that Prescott College draws in change makers, and I really firmly do believe in that, because while we do have a very diverse background of students, I think all of us do share a lot of the same passions, and because of that, we're all in the same spot at this college trying to make some sort of change, whether that be in the form of arts or environmental studies or adventure education or psychology. And I just think that's a really beautiful thing, especially to have in a small community, universities where it's easy to kind of fall through the cracks, not build community. So it's just great to be in a small place like this where you know that everyone you're going to school with is all trying to achieve the same thing, and you guys are all kind of each other's cheerleaders.
I'd kind of like to talk about how life in Prescott is. So the college itself is small. It's amazing. It's wonderful. You know everyone. But then like the exterior of the college and Prescott itself is wonderfully big. There's so many things to do. Lots of outdoor activities, lots of hiking, lots of rock climbing. You can go paddleboarding or kayaking on Watson or Leaks Lake. And there's a lot to do outside of the college. I have never found that I've been bored while I've been here, just because there's been so many things to do.
Anything else in the Q&A hopper for students or anybody else?
Yeah, there's one more. This is also for the students. This person would like to know what it was like to have lived in a dorm with 8 to 10 other people.
Okay, I liked it. I didn't really leave, but I liked it. And it was very calm. And I think that so they're kind of set up as townhouses, as like Cal showed us through the tour. And I think that all of them have a very specific like personality when you think about it. So like my year, like I lived in B4 and it was a very quiet house for some reason, which wasn't the case for like B3, which is a really loud house. So I think that it's just one of those things that like you come in and it's like, you know, like you don't really know what you're expecting when you like go into a house and that group dynamic and like how humans like coexist with each other. But it really was not crowded at all. There was so much space. It was insane. Like I like don't even have a closet in the house that I live in right now. So like I had so much space for all the things that I had, which is a lot. But yeah, living with 8 people is really cool. And especially like as like time goes on, like some people like leave or some people will then like move into your house. So you like don't always, I mean, it's not like certain, but you don't always have the same people. So it's a lot of There's also a lot of meetings and everything is like facilitated by RAs, which is amazing as well. So you don't feel like you're like the person who has to control everything ever, which is awesome. And yeah.
I absolutely love the dorms as well. I always joke because my roommate is still my best friend after like 3 years of knowing each other. And I always thank Megan and the algorithm because I'm like, I have my best friend now. Like, it's perfect. It's like online dating. Yeah, and living with 8 people like really helps with like working with group dynamic because like when you're out in the field in classes, you have to deal with group dynamic. You have to work with people, and that gives you the tools earlier on to like do all of those things. Super wonderful experience.
Erin, could I call on you? You mentioned the accelerated masters briefly. Would you tell us more about that opportunity?
Sure. So as students are building their degree, we encourage them to think as early as the sophomore year to start planning on whether or not they'd be interested in achieving a master's degree. If they are, then we try to get those undergraduate requirements done a little quicker and free up the senior year to take classes that count for both a master's degree and their bachelor's degree. So if, let's say, a student was taking 24 credits in their senior year at the master's level, that counts towards their bachelor's degree too, meaning they don't pay tuition for both. So it's a huge money as well as time savings. Our master's degrees are unique, very cool experiences too. Let's say a student was studying environmental studies as their undergrad, they could move into a resilient and sustainable communities master's degree, or a master's of science in environmental studies, or a master's of science in food systems master's degree. If they were an adventure educator, maybe they want to move into an MBA and run their own company. If they were studying human development and psychology, maybe they want a critical psychology degree, or maybe they want to go into the MS of counseling and become a certified counselor. So there's a lot of opportunity. The key is planning early and using that senior year to really double dip. If somebody comes as a freshman, moves into the accelerated master's degree, we will give them a free year after they get their undergrad. If they come in as a transfer student, they can get a free term. So it really makes sense to look into that and plan that into the path early on.
Great, thank you. And if anybody's still on video, Annie and Cecil have been joined by very cute future Prescott College students. What else?
Dave, just a thought. I'm wondering if we could maybe share the email addresses that the student ambassadors use, so that if participants on the call, have additional questions for the students, they can reach out to them directly, because I feel like the student input has been really valuable, and it's possible that there's other kind of student-centric questions out there.
You want to share those, or do you want to ask the students to share their student ambassador emails?
If everyone's okay with it, I'll just provide them in the chat. Yes.
All of us are available after this meeting to answer questions, to help with the application process, to do anything we can to support you in your academic journey, hopefully at Prescott College, but if it ends up being someplace else, that's understandable as well. I'm going to pause for just a minute to see if any panelist has any final thoughts, or any participants have any questions for us before we sign off.
I did something I forgot to mention when I was doing my little spiel on financial aid, and especially considering all the things that are happening these days with COVID-19, I know that a lot of people have been financially impacted by that. And so I just wanted to put out there that if anyone has a circumstance where their income has changed or something like this since they filed the FAFSA, please reach out to our financial aid department. We do have a financial circumstances appeal process where we can help you get the information updated that might have been on your FAFSA from 2 years ago is now not accurate. And so through that process, we may be able to qualify you for some additional financial aid. So definitely let us know and we will help you. All right.
Thanks, B. All right. Well, I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope that you're more interested now in Prescott College than you were, and that we'll be seeing your application soon and seeing you on campus in the not too distant future. Thank you to all the panelists for helping us out. Thanks for everybody that took part, and have a great evening.